TFF analyst, former Buckeye and former NFL player Jay Richardson joining me now. Jay, thank you so much.
Yeah.
So you were at the game on Monday night when the hit happened and the ambulance rushed onto the field. What was it like inside of Paycor? It seemed like the air was just taken out of the stadium.
So initially, it looked like a routine football play. You know, you saw a guy catch the football, Higgins, and you saw the collision, and you know, D-Ham hit him, and they both fell down, and then obviously he got up and passed out. And I don't know that a lot of people in the crowd saw that. They just saw the player laying there, and we've seen that before. I mean, I've seen times where a guy has, you know, lost consciousness or just, you know, had a huge impact. But this wasn't a huge impact. So it surprised a lot of us that he was still down. And then as the moments started to pass, the heightened sense of, oh no, something's really wrong here, started to elevate. I knew something was really, really wrong when both benches cleared. So generally speaking, you'll see, you know, the team of the player down kind of go over and rally. You'll see guys praying, and you'll see people concerned. And whenever you see that, I assumed it was an ACL or some sort of an injury that you could visibly see. It wasn't until we saw the CPR, Kelly, and that we knew this was not just an injury. This was a life or death situation, and that's what's so scary. Yeah,
to that point, I mean, you've played at the highest level. You've seen some big hits. You've taken up some big hits. Did you immediately recognize that this injury was different with how fast that medical team came onto the field and got him, you know, straight?
Absolutely. So we're in the stadium. It was very, very hard to get a good look. And then obviously everyone's grabbing their phones. They're going to Twitter. Once I saw him stand up and pass out, I knew something was seriously wrong. And like I said before, CPR doesn't happen unless you're trying to help someone breathe or save someone's life, right? So when you see that, the entire mood changes. I think the production by ESPN to kind of cut to the crew and discuss it was wise. I think the NFL made a wise decision in the end to postpone. I think I have to give a lot of credit to the head coaches, both from Cincinnati and from Buffalo, to come together and just say, hey, this is not the time or place to even consider trying to play football. Where we have a young man fighting for his life. We need to get this figured out first.
And when the team, the Bills players, crowded around Damar Hamlin to build that shield, is that also kind of indicated to you that this was something way bigger than just any old injury?
It was huge. Well, once again, I've seen guys with bones sticking out of their body. I've seen, you know, blood everywhere. Even then, I've never seen every single player from a sideline leave, get onto the field, and they're all trying to pour out kind of their energy towards that prayer, towards that player in prayer, and just try to kind of get him going again. It was traumatic. I can imagine for the guys on the field. I think for guys watching who play the sport, there's some elements of PTSD, especially for those of us who have seen truly horrific things on the field. It was just a constant hoping that you'd see movement or you'd see the player, you know, lift an arm, a head, something.
Any indication, right?
And to not see that, and then to see Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, the looks on these players' faces, you could tell they were in true terror and they didn't know what was going to happen.
What do you think was going through those players' minds in that moment? You also experienced a tragic on-field event when you were playing at Ohio State.
Yeah, so I think it was my sophomore year. We had a punter take a hit, was lined up at receiver in a jersey scrimmage. His name was Tyson Gentry, a fantastic young man, and took a hit right there about 10 feet from us and went down. Hasn't walked since, and there's nothing that prepares you for that as a young person to see. It breaks your heart for him, his family. You know, thank God Ohio State kind of rallied around him and gave him medical resources, and he's been thriving and doing fantastic as an individual. But in the moment, nothing can prepare a player, a person, honestly, to see that. And I can imagine Josh Allen and his teammates were probably thinking to themselves as he lay there completely still, oh no, is someone passing away right before our eyes? And I think that's the scariest thing that can be going through your mind at that time as a player.
Oh, absolutely. It's the worst possible thing to happen. And have you talked to any former teammates about Monday night's incident? What are those conversations like?
Yeah, talked to a lot of guys about it. I had guys, you know, I was kind of tweeting about the game in real time. So I had guys obviously texting me, hey, are you there? What are you seeing? What's going on? And then just discussing with guys afterwards. they all felt like, man, that just seemed like such a normal hit.
Yes.
It's not the hit. It's his reaction to it.
Right.
And you don't know. I'm not a medical professional, so I can't diagnose or say what was going on with his heart prior to or during that moment. All we can say is it was shocking.
Yeah.
It was heartbreaking, and we just feel for his family. You want so badly to get good news from that hospital in Cincinnati very soon.
Yeah, I think everybody in the world right now, in the nation, is hoping to get that news too. So the NFL came out and said they will not be resuming the game this week. And as of right now, there are no changes to the Week 18 schedule, with the Bills playing the Patriots on Sunday and the Bengals taking on the Ravens. How do you regroup as a player after this tragic event to then go on and play a game?
Unbelievably, it's something that you have to do at your job.
Yeah.
And we understand they're professionals first, but this is kind of outside the realm of their professional expertise on the field.
Very
this is something that none of these guys have ever dealt with. The coaches haven't dealt with it. And I was hard on the NFL the night of, saying, they should have postponed it right away. But the reality of it is there's no protocol for this.
Right.
The NFL has never dealt with something where, a guy's not breathing on the field and they're trying to figure out what the protocol is, how do we go forward. It's a big, impactful game. It has a lot of playoff implications. We understand all of that. But as we've learned, none of that matters when something like that happens. I think as a team, you rally, you stay together. A lot of guys wanted to stay in Cincinnati with him and his family, with his mother and his uncles, and I can imagine just wanting to be connected. And I just don't think these guys are thinking about football at all this week, next week. They won't be able to focus on football until they know he's okay.
Right, and you touched on it before. Wide receiver T. Higgins was involved in that play. On social media, I've seen more support for T than anything, but there has been some critics, and I think people are just looking to blame somebody for this tragic incident, but he is not to blame. Like you mentioned, this was just a routine play. I mean, what do you think is going through T's mind?
He feels awful. I can assure you he feels like there's something I could have done differently.
Right.
Not at all. This was, like I said, routine, basic play. I mean, he caught the football. There's nothing else he can do but ball up to protect himself on impact like every receiver does. And I think sometimes as spectators of a gladiator sport, or just when there's a tragedy, the first instinct for some is to sometimes find a villain or find a reason, and sometimes there isn't one. Sometimes just awful things happen, and you have to just find out what to do next to make it right. Yeah,
and all 32 NFL teams have shown support for Hamlin and the Bills, changing their profile pictures on social media, lighting up stadiums in blue. What does that say about the brotherhood and family aspect within the NFL?
It speaks to how connected the NFL is, the players, the coaches, anybody who's been a part of any of the organizations. There's a sense of fraternity and just brotherhood there. And I think it just permeates throughout just America. When you look at all of the people that donated to his foundation, trying to start GoFundMe's for his family. You don't know what the situation is, but that kind of inspired. It was inspirational for me, and it kind of gave me hope for humanity in a sense, right? Just to see so many people rally, it reminds you that on a very human level, we're all very connected, and no one wants to see bad things happen to anybody.
No, because at the end of the day, these players, you guys, we're humans. We're all human beings. So being a part of that fraternity, do you have a message for the Hamlin family?
I just want the family to know that I wholeheartedly am with you in spirit. I want so badly to get great news, and everybody in my family, my mother included, who's a part of PIFMA, the Professional Football Mothers Association, has been praying ceaselessly since the incident, and they've been kind of organizing prayer groups all across the country and just trying to send all of the positive energy we can towards the Hamlin family, and we're just believing and hoping for a fantastic message soon.
Thank you so much for joining me.
All right, thank you.